faithful viewers. Welcome to Breaking the Diaspora Barriers, a podcast where we share stories of resilience, faith, and triumph from people in the UK who have managed to overcome obstacles and are now making a lasting impact. I'm your host, Canon Lameck Mutete, and today we'll be diving into a story of courage, faith, and vision. Our scripture for today is Jeremiah 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans of hope and a future. My guest today is none other than a well-known man who has covered loads of areas in this world, Mr. Anesu Muyambi, a lecturer, IT consultant, the first Zimbabwe secretary and chair of the House of Laity in Birmingham Diocese in the Church of England. He's a man whose journey from Zimbabwe to the UK has been remarkable, and he continues to break barriers and creating opportunities for others. Welcome, Mr. Muyambi Moyondizo.
Thank you, Reverend, for having me.
I know you were born in Zimbabwe, and well, before you came here, you did so many things. But before we touch all those things that you did, and I just want to know where you were born and the school you went to, and a bit of that before you started your mission, especially within the church, where that has been part of your life.
Thank you very much. So I was born in Wedza, and I grew up in Gokwe, and I went to school. Most of my life, it was all mission schools. So my primary was at a mission school. My secondary was a mission school in Bulawayo. And that's where I actually got to learn to speak English. So I can speak Ndebele, I can speak English, and I can speak Shona. And then after that, I went into tertiary education in the Midlands, and I studied automotive engineering. And after I studied automotive engineering, I then went to work in Harare. And in Harare, I was teaching at Harare Polytechnic for quite a number of years. And during that time, I was a member of St. Mary's, the Cathedral Church in Harare.
Now, I know you have so much to share with your viewers today. And I know very well that you did so much at St. Mary's Cathedral in Harare. You were in the choir, you're also in the drama group, and you were the choir conductor at one time. Can you take me through a little bit about that, what you can remember about all those important services for the Lord that you did during your time in Zimbabwe?
So during my time in Harare, my father is late. My father is a priest, Reverend Dr. Lazarus Muyambi. My mother was a teacher. She was a choir conductor. And a lot of the skills that I'm using, I got them from my mom. And she used to be the choir conductor in Gokwe, St. Agnes Mission. And I was a choir member and was singing tenor then. So when I came into Harare, I joined the Harare Cathedral choir. And during that time, I sang under a man called Thomas Mapranga. He was a phenomenal choir master. So I learned a lot from that man. And I eventually became his assistant choir master at the cathedral. And I was also playing drums. So I was, it was, I think, part of my sort of highest moments in terms of music. And then I joined the Harare Master Choir. And the Harare Master Choir had all choirs from the Diocese of Harare. And I was part of that group as well. And then we formed a drama group, which was called Harare Drama Group, Anglican Drama Group. And we did a lot of plays, biblical plays. We did the crucifixion of Jesus. We used Job's story. Bernard Mzeki was the most common play. We did Uganda Marchers. And all those plays, we were invited in so many parishes in the diocese and eventually across most dioceses in Zimbabwe, and we were performing all those plays. I remember one time we went to Chivu Daramombe, Shelley Crips. There was an annual event there, and we performed a play there. It was phenomenal. It was amazing, and the crowd there, they were cheering for more plays, but we only managed to do 2 because we were tired. And then we went to Penalonga. We also did about 3 plays at Penalonga. Again, that was the 1990s. It was the I think 100 years of celebration of Anglican or Christianity in Zimbabwe at Penalonga the secondary school. So we kept on getting all these invites, and eventually it was time for us to take it outside the country. So we went in South Africa, in Pretoria. We did a drama there. We went to Mozambique. In Nambane, we did a play there. We went to Zambia, Lusaka, and we did a play there as well. So we became sort of an international group in a small way, but I think the news went far and wide. In most of those countries, they would have seen us at Bernard Mzeki performing the play, and they would then invite us to say, could you come? We've got this special event. Please come and join us and do 1 or 2 plays. So that was basically my life in Harare. And at the cathedral itself, I was a member of the PCC, and I was also in the property committee. So we're looking after the clergy houses, cars, and also just generate the church properties, parishes, and et cetera, et cetera. So it was a busy life, but I enjoyed being busy. There's nothing as good as working for the Lord.
It looks like you performed so many of these drama activities whilst you're in Zimbabwe. Had you become professional?
It was all part-time.
All part-time, doing it for the Lord.
Just for the Lord. Because I had a full-time job in Harare Polytech.
Do you miss that?
I do. I really do miss it. But I still here and there, I'm still advising. Some people, they still ask, they call me for advice and all these things. And I give them as much advice as I can. So I'm still in it, but a bit far removed, but not very active. But, there to help people that want to.
When you look at what's happening on the social media nowadays, people are making a kill with these activities, acting, etc., etc. They're actually being paid for that now. And you look back, you are just doing it for the Lord, which I think is an amazing thing. All right, now you are in Zim, and obviously everything is going on well. You are working for the government at Polytech. When did you start thinking about migrating to come to this country, and what had happened?
So, very interesting. Just to go back a little bit, all the things that I do for the Lord, I don't get paid for it. I do them for free because I just enjoy helping people and helping the Lord. So anything that you want me to do for the church, I never charge anything. I use my own resources and to get at point A to point B, to prepare things, anything that is when I all do that for.
Where did you get this lesson from? Is it something that's within you, your faith, or maybe a teaching? Because I know your dad was a priest, and obviously he was also a very good disciplinarian. Let me put it that way. But not in a bad way, but in a way of trying to inculcate a sense of understanding, a sense of belief and trust and faith in the Lord. Do you think it's from there, or it's something that's now in you, a seed that's planted in you?
I can just briefly say, now that you've mentioned about my father, he was a man who was selfless, a man who did a lot of charity things. He was helping the orphans, and he built so many infrastructures to help people, and was doing all those things for free. He built a nursery, he built a community of nuns, built a primary school, a secondary school, a clinic, and all those things he was using his own resources and donations, and was doing that for the local people to use those facilities, and also for the people in Zimbabwe and also people across the globe that will benefit from those projects. I was there growing up, and I was seeing all these things that he was doing, and I just cherished. I don't know where he got the time from, because he was a full-time priest, but he did get time to build all those infrastructures. So I learned it at a very, very early stage in my life. and I realized that you must be there and create time to work for the Lord. And never say you are busy for the Lord. You know, you'd rather be busy for work, but when the church calls or when God calls, be there and be ready to serve. And so that has now been planted in me as a seed. And these things are just do them, they come to me as second nature. I don't even think about it.
Thank you. I think this is all to do with what we have already observed in this country. You give so much to the church, without having to think about any remuneration, which I think is very, very important for those of the viewers who are listening. When we work for the Lord, God will reward us. That's the way I look at it. So now take us on this journey when you finally said, maybe enough is enough to be in Zim and you wanted to come to this country. Like I always say with many people, we come here thinking we are now going to the country of milk and honey. And when you arrived, can you take us through all that?
So what happened, my sister was already living here. So she just said, look, you've got about 3 months leave. Why don't you just come and spend your time here in the UK and then you can go back. Okay. So I took the offer and I left the country. I came here in the UK. The day that I left, I actually had a lecture which finished around 4 p.m. So everything was normal. I finished that lesson and then from there I went straight to the airport. Boarded a plane and I landed here on a Thursday. I still remember the days very well. So I got here and I just settled in and I was just here to rest. So I had no intentions on coming to work here. So one day I woke up, I was living in Warsaw, just 30 minutes from here, and there was an institution there that taught technology and engineering. So I said to myself, you know what, I will go and have a look and ask them what they're doing, what they offer. My idea was to start an exchange program with them if I could, and see if I could get some sort of donations and link them up with Harare Polytech. So I went in there.
So your mind was not even here then?
Nah, not at all. So I went to that institution, asked to speak to the head of school, whoever there, and they welcomed me. So he called me into his office and we sat down and I did ask him what courses do you offer here and how long are the courses and how you get the funding and support and all those things. And they were so kind to take me through the whole process. And then at the end of the discussion, he took me around and he showed me the facilities and all the department. I said, this is brilliant. And said to me, do you like it? I said, this is amazing. I said, it looks like exactly back home, because I think it was being an English country, a lot of things, they mimic what's happening there. So at the end, he said to me, if there was an opportunity for a job here, would you come and work here? And I said, oh, I'm just here on holiday, but never say never. And then he said, could you give me your numbers just in case there's something whilst you're here on holiday? So I gave him my number, and I left. That was it.
Is that a Zim number?
Yeah, no, I had a local mobile then.
Okay.
Yeah, that I was using, yeah. So within a week, he called me on a Friday. He said, are you doing anything at the moment? I said, no, I'm just resting. He said, one of our members of the staff has gone off sick. Would you fancy coming and taking a few hours? I'll give you maybe 2 or 3 days a week. And I said, well, okay. I said, fine, I'll be able to take that. Mm-hmm. So give me an appointment. I go there on a Monday. He gave me a timetable.
And still your mindset is in Zimbabwe.
I'm still in Zimbabwe. Yeah, I'm just saying, well, this is a part-time job, so I can
get some pounds and go.
I can get some money, and I'll go back home.
Yeah.
So there we are. Monday, I was on the job. And I did 3 days, and I would go back home, and I was planning and all this. But I was already doing it, so to me, it was just like, easy stuff. And then after that, the demand increased. And, they see that this person knows what they're doing. So they said, you know what, how about if we offer you a job, a full-time post? So I said to him, I have to think about this. So I went back home, and lucky there was a sort of a half-term week thereabouts. So I went home and thought about it, and consulted and all those things. And people say to me, you know what, just go for it. So I went for it, and I got a full-time job. And there I was working as a lecturer in the United Kingdom. I didn't need an interview, so I actually talked myself into a job. It was not a formal interview at all.
So that's what we call breaking barriers. But what surprises me is that you left something hanging back home. How did you finalize that job?
Now that was bad. I was on a sabbatical leave, and then after that they started. Once that leave had expired, they started looking for me. And where's Mr. Muyambi? You know. So you won't believe this. I know it sounds bad, but I had to resign from here. I wrote a resignation letter that I posted to my employer. I said I would like to tender my resignation. I did that in absentia.
Yeah.
Sounds bad, but...
I know, but it happens.
And it happened. It did. Can you share a turning point that pushed you to start building your career in this country in the direction that has brought you this far?
So when I got here, it was very interesting because one of the things that I always want to find wherever I move to a new place, I need to find which one is the nearest church to me. And I want to find that church, and I want to go there, and I want to meet the priest or the vicar, and I introduce myself. So the first church that I went to was St. Michael's in Warsaw. The priest was Reverend Michael, some serious coincidence. So yes, I got there and introduced me the following Sunday, and I was a member of the parish. And I started to read Bible readings during the lessons in church. You know, it was so quick, so rapid development. So then I started to look around if there are any other Zimbabwean Anglicans that were here. My sister was one of them. And then there was quite a few people that I started to know and start talking to them and find out what's happening in the UK, how can I help, what needs to be done. People like Reverend Lameck was one of them in Chester, and a few other people. It was quite interesting because some of them, they already knew me from Harare when I was in the drama group and I was at the St. Mary's Cathedral.
Okay.
How do you measure progress in your personal journey beyond traditional success markers?
I mean, there are certain things that people look at as landmarks or things that are expected to achieve or to have done at a certain time in your life. And which is not always the case because our journeys are so different. Some are so challenging, some are, they're just smooth sailing. I think mine were not as challenging as I thought they would be. I think my father prepared me very well for these challenges. Yeah. And God, amidst all these things, controlling me and directing me to the things that I would have to be successful all the time. And I found it quite fulfilling that you study into a course that you want to do and you're successful. You go into church, you do things that you want to do and you're successful. And there are challenges, but you work around, make sure you get through those challenges. And that's what life is all about. It's never easy, but you have to go and overcome those insurmountable tasks. So to where I am now, I've done the things that I would have wanted to do, but some of them, they become quite a surprise. And I just look back and ask myself, how did I get here? It's quite a journey, but I think...
But again, our scripture says, I've got plans for you. So you need to realize that most of the things we do, God is always with us, and I'm sure you agree with that as well. Amen. Let me move on to professional growth and leadership. Let's shift to your professional journey. As a man of many talents, which I think is very clear from the introduction, many talents and skills, you've broken barriers not only for yourself, but also for other people as well. Because there are certain barriers that you can actually break for others. It's like almost opening a floodgate, or unlocking a door for other people to say, "Come on, guys, come in." Tell me about the challenges that you met as a lecturer in the UK, having worked as a lecturer in Zimbabwe. Did you face any challenges, or it was, like you say, just smooth sailing? Because many people complain that initially, not that you didn't know what you were doing, but still you meet challenges. And how did you meet any? And if you did, how did you manage to break those barriers?
It's very interesting. Sometimes, when I say to people, it hasn't been a challenge to me at all, because if I manage to talk myself into a job without a formal interview, in a foreign country where you've got a team of about 15 members of staff, and you're the only person of color, but you go in there, you know what you're doing, and you just get on with it. And the results, they've always been speaking for themselves over the years. And then they seconded me to study another degree in aerospace engineering. And the only reason why they wanted me to study that degree is because there was a point where they wanted somebody who could be an IQA, which is an internal quality controller, to look at a certain program and see how students were doing. But I had never done that program at all, although there's some similarities being engineering. So they said, we want you to do this, but we can offer you to train as an aerospace engineer. And I did that for 2 years, But I only did it because I had to do it. And I didn't think I was going to practice it. But before I even finished training it, I was already being asked to practice and start teaching that profession as well. Okay. That to me was a barrier that I never thought I would break, And again, this is a qualification which is predominantly done by white people and Asians, etc., etc. And there I was again, somebody in the mix and doing all those things. So it came as a surprise, and then I think I've been now teaching here in the UK for 19 years, and I still find it very interesting because I won't be able to show you my results, but year in, year out, my success story is written on this success percentage over the year. And just last year, I had 100% success rate on the group of students that I teach engineering. And there were 9 males and 3 females in there. And they all passed the course. And this is recorded at the bulletin at my workplace. So
that's quite amazing, Mr. Muyambi. But I'm also fully aware that there are many lecturers or teachers who left Zimbabwe and came into this country, and they always, not all of them, but the majority of them, they always complain that they can't teach in this country because of the indiscipline that they find among the students. But you are one among many, those who have managed to break the barriers, and you're teaching, and you seem to be comfortable and enjoying what you're doing. What word of advice would you give to viewers, especially those who might have taught in Zimbabwe and they still feel that was their calling, because teaching for me is a vocation, and they are still wandering wanderers? They don't know what to do. What word of advice would you give them?
They're quite right. Some of my colleagues that I used to work with at Harare Poly, some of them, there's only one who is going into teaching. The majority, they've changed course into social work, and they're doing some health courses, etc., etc. I think they were just scared from what they had learned that the behavior of young people in the UK is challenging. It is challenging, but they've got to have to come up with means and ways of getting these students to understand, the importance of learning and the benefits that it comes with. There are students that will misbehave, but it's just how you deal with them. It's how you pick your battles. It's how you make them to understand the importance of learning. And being engineering is challenging as it is. So normally you get the students that are quite good at what they do. So we're very selective when you talk about engineering students. So pass the basic maths and English to start with, and science, etc., etc. So normally you will get very good students and very understanding. And challenges, yes, you meet them and you deal with those challenges and you just get on with life. As time goes on, they see the importance of the lesson that they've chosen or the qualification, and I just reinforce discipline all the time. That's why it's called a discipliner. It needs people that are disciplined to be an engineer, and that's the message to them all the time.
I have to press you again because you're one of those very fortunate, or maybe you are a hardworking man of resilience. You never met such challenges like accent, or students saying they can't hear you, or you are also struggling to hear them. These are the sort of statements we hear from Zimbabweans. But even if that happened to you, you just pressed on. Did you ever encounter such problems?
People will struggle with an accent, to be honest with you, whether you're speaking with Spanish or French, because it's not your language. The way you speak is the way you sort of relate to yourself. And I pronounce words as they are in English, and there's obviously the accent issue where the young people tend to speak a certain language in a certain way, and they can understand themselves much, much better. But what I learned to do was to speak slowly and pronounce words as they are, without using that phonic sound they use. Okay. But I had to speak, because being brought up in an English-speaking country, that wasn't too bad for me. So I just, as time goes on, I had to model the way I spoke around this phonic language that they do understand. And then the fact that I can also use IT skills and post things on the board, on the internet, where they can read and they can relate to, making some podcasts, making some videos. That is so. All those skill gaps there, I'll just sort of try and work around to get the message across to them. So it's a challenge, but you have to take the challenge.
That's very good. How do you stay open-minded when holding firm to your core values as a Zimbabwean?
That's a challenge. That's a really, really challenge. Born in Zimbabwe, I remain a Zimbabwean. That will never change. I'm now in an English culture, and I have to learn the English culture. They've got their own values. The good thing is that, again, coming from a Zimbabwean, which is a British sort of colonized country, so a lot of the values, there's a bit of similarity in there. So I don't look quite lost when it comes to look of those, but you still have to stand with your core values of being a Christian, an African man, and doing the things that are good to people and that are also pleasing God. And that's how I always try, and to be very fair in as much as I make these judgments and decisions to people.
On your journey from Zimbabwe right up to where you are now, where do you see God? Do you see God in everything, in every aspect you've done?
God has been in everything that has happened in my life. Everything. I don't know how many times I sign the sign of cross, every day. But I don't do it publicly. But I learned it from my father as well. There was, sometimes he didn't have to pray. You only needed to sign the sign of cross and to say Amen. That's the prayer finished. Again, when you come in here, where Christianity is a bit of a taboo for other people, it's a Christian country, people don't want to go to church, too much freedom. You don't want to do things that people will see you doing and they say, what was that all about? So sometimes I sign, when I walk into the lecture room, I sign a cross. They don't see that I've signed a cross. When I leave, when I drive a car, I sign when I leave home, I sign a sign of cross when I get home. But people just see, things do happening. Barriers are there. Sometimes they just move out of the way. And God has been in my life every step of the way. And I always want to make sure that God is in everything that I do.
I think it's a good lesson to viewers. There are many Christians who working in certain environments where it's very difficult for you to be in a position to pray. But I think within that, it's not just a bare cross, but you're actually saying in the name of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Already that's a prayer. You can say it internally without having to say anything. Maybe people may not even see that you've been able to make a cross, but God knows that you're actually praying to Him.
Yes.
Now, let's move on to the position that you are in within the Diocese of Birmingham. I know that you were recently elected as chair of the House of Laity in the Church of England, Birmingham Diocese. This is one of the highest positions that the laity can have in the church. How did you manage to break the traditional barriers in the Church of England? What's so special about Muyondizo for him to be picked as chair of the laity among all the people from all different walks of life? You know, how did that happen? It's also Muyondizo.
I don't know.
You are still surprised.
I even struggled to understand what really happened. But if I've been attending synod, for as time as far as I can remember when I got into the UK, because my parish put my name forward to be a synod member. So I've been attending synod for years.
Okay.
So things that happen in the synod, I'm fully aware of all the policies and processes and all the things that happen in there.
Or maybe, Mr. Muyambi, for the benefit of our viewers as well, although I have said it's one of the highest positions which can be offered to a layperson, people may want to know more what it means to be a lay chair for a diocese.
So what it entails is that in the Birmingham Diocese, we've got 168 parishes. And those parishes, they send, depending on the size of the parish, they send one delegate or two delegates to the diocesan synod we have 3 meetings every year. So each year we hold elections for various positions, and one of them is for the lay chair. And the purpose of a lay chair is to represent the laity in the diocese. So, which is anyone who is not an ordained priest. They are part of the people that I deal with. I receive concerns and I address issues that are happening in the parish, and they are communicated to me. And I sit down with the bishop and the diocesan secretary, and we talk about all those things. There's also a chair for the ordained priests as well. So there's 4 of us. So we sit down about 3 times a year. We discuss. Sometimes there are some ad hoc meetings that we do. We sit down and we discuss. We come with suggestions and solutions, etc., etc. The bishop then does the implementation of any of the things that you agree. And also, there are other groups or committees that are within the diocese that I'm also part of. And one of them I was going to mention to you is that I'm also a member of the Diocesan Board of Education. So I am a governor, and we look after 52 schools.
You're already scaring me now. You seem to be taking over the entire diocese, but it's good for us because we can actually, move around and say, we have our representative. We have one person from our country. We have managed to break not just one barrier. These are a majority of barriers that you've managed to break within the diocese. And I think I'm very, very pleased. And I'm sure many of our people from Zimbabwe will be very happy to hear such a position which you have attained.
Yeah. It is. The Board of Education was not easy. What wasn't a challenge, in fact, was I'm already in education. So that was a passion for me. That was a given. They actually, first they co-opted me, knowing my profession. And then after that, I became a member of the Diocesan Board of Education. And I also sit on quite a number of committees in the safeguarding team, environmental team. I also sit in the committee that selects a bishop. If in case there's an interregnum in the diocese, I sit on that committee as well. And I sit on the committee of properties and in the diocese as well. So again, by virtue of my role as lay chair, I have a seat in any one of those committees. So they do invite me to come and not as a voting member, but as ex officio member, or just as an observer, representing the laity. So they have a voice in me. And once in a while, I meet with the deanery chairpersons.
What advice, Mr. Muyambi, would you give to our people from Zim? I know of many Christians who will be looking for the right church or the right parish church to worship. And most of them, they have this fear of the unknown, especially if it is a parish church where there are maybe more than, or maybe 3/4 or maybe 99% being white. And how can you encourage these people to partake, to be part and parcel of these parishes, and also be ready to take positions? Because there is that fear that how can I work among all these people who are different from me? But you have done it, and how can you encourage them, our viewers?
All I can say to the viewers is that when you walk into a church, you must stand out. People must see that someone has walked in the church, and you go and pick up your seat, and you sit on there. You participate during the service. You actively participate in the service. You sing. You read, you take lessons, you do intercession prayers. Anything that any lay person can do, take those roles. And when you take those roles, practice those roles properly, as much as you can, and make yourself available. And when the priest calls out for something urgent, when you're available, just say, I'll come and do this.
Here I am,
send me.
Good.
And this is when I got here from Warsaw, I just walked into this church, St. George's. This is where I worship. I've been worshiping here for nearly 19 years. I walked in here during the service, and the priest was doing his service there. I walked in, and there was a drum in the corner there. And then there's one song that they sang. And then I just went onto the drum and I started drumming the song. It was an English hymn.
Well, that's your calling.
And I started playing the drums. And after the service, the priest came to me, and that was Reverend Larry. He came to me, he said, I saw you playing drums. How did you learn to play this? I said, well, I've been playing this for years.
It's in me, it's in my blood.
It's in my blood. And he said, I want you to join the choir. That's not a problem. I am now a choir member. So he laughed, and I said, okay, interesting.
Finally, I'm taking you to Zinafe, because you are the first secretary of the Zimbabwe National Anglican Fellowship, which I understand was formed in 2009 in Chester, and you were elected to be the first secretary. Can you take me through that?
So that was quite a journey. It was quite a journey. Before then, people used to meet in their different, small groups. They would look. See who are any Zimbabwean Anglicans, and they would group like every month and have their own service, London, Birmingham, Bradford. So, but I think there was this sort of coordination that was needed by people, so that, because we used to celebrate the same events, Easter, they would do their Easter in London, in the, Bernard Mzek and all those things, but there was a need to try and coordinate those groups and those festivals. And that wasn't there then. So I think this one year, 2008, I think we started talking about 2007. Yeah. People started to talk about it, but how can we do this? We got to be working together. In 2008, that's when we sat down at St. Albans, Tatano in Chester. And people had come for, I think it was an informal gathering. And then after, I think around about 5 or 7 in the evening, we sat down and under the leadership of Reverend Lameck Mutete, and there were quite some key members there that also attended that meeting. And that was the way forward, and that is how we started to break the barrier in a very small way, and choosing a steering committee, which was chosen by the people that had attended that meeting. It's very difficult for sitting down and setting up a committee there. There was no fair representation, but some people were not there. But the few people that were there agreed to take those roles, and that was brave. That is quite brave for them, because you are going into unknown territory, and some people don't even know you. So I was appointed the first secretary, and the chairman was also appointed there, the treasurer, and by then a chaplain was also appointed there. And it all started off from there, but we had nothing to work with. There was absolutely nothing, no paperwork, no constitution, no policies, nothing. We were just relying on the Anglicanism, the way we do things, and we were not going to divert from that. But that was the core business of our faith and the fellowship. So we came up with a name which would encompass all the Zimbabwean Anglicans, not as a church, but as a fellowship. So people would meet to fellowship and praise God in our own language, using our own language. And lucky we had priests that were already coming from Zimbabwe, and they were willing to help. So that made life a little bit easier for us. So that is a good start. I think it would have been a challenge if we didn't have any Zimbabwean priests. That's for a fact. And then we started for that year, from 2008 up to 2009, we were clearing the ground and setting up for a new committee that was going to be elected the following year at an event which we called Bernard Mzeki. So I think people had worked so hard to get to that point and make sure that whoever comes in, then part of the work has been done already. So and that was a given. So we went to Lavbora. That was our first meeting after that steering committee. So we were ready to sort of elect a new committee then. But then on that weekend, some committee members were chosen. Some of them remained in their positions, and I was then officially appointed as the secretary for SNAFE. And my role was to coordinate events and to come up with a constitution, and I did that working with Reverend Archford, who is now in Namibia, and to come up with a sort of a format of how people can meet, and for those different festivals, to look for which places we're going to meet for those festivals, and to make sure that everything was, the plan was put in place well before time, and that allowed people to plan themselves, plan their journeys, and et cetera, all those things. And also to set up a website so that we can start reaching out to people and knowing people, to know where we are and what we do and what we stand for. And so all those things, the groundwork, it wasn't that easy, but someone had to do it. Yeah. The team was very supportive. And that team, we were working day and night, talking over the phone for longer periods, but we had to do it for a reason. And I think I was secretary for 7 years. I did 2 terms and a bit. I think people just wanted to see what we had started, that it goes according to plan up to a certain time, the progression. And then after that, I then had to step down as a secretary, and I thought my job was done then. Before I knew, I was chosen to be a choir master for Zinafi choir. So I never really got time to rest, and I didn't want to rest anyway. Because I knew for a fact.
Doing something for Zinafi.
Up to now, and then I took a bit of a rest. I thought, well, I think there are young people that can handle the choir. I think I'll step back, and then I'll just sing. But before I knew, we got into COVID, and then IT skills were needed, and then I became the Microsoft admin for the entire SNAFE, running that Microsoft platform, and I actually learned that on the job. Because I'm not an IT specialist, but I actually taught myself how to do that. How to do it, yeah. So then I started teaching people how to operate the system and all those things, which is what I'm still doing now.
And being one of your students.
It was a challenge, but it was quite interesting. I mean, we worked for hours and hours because we had services that were being done online, and we had to get those services running. There was no time to wait. And a lot of people, they didn't have the IT skills then, so we had to take them through, training online and all those things. But it was a success, I must say. It was a success in the end. And we're still using IT today, and people are still using the Microsoft platform, and now including Zoom. Now I'm the NAFE digital chairperson, so I'm responsible for the media, for the IT, training, and implementing it. So I find it very interesting. The good thing about IT is just you can just sit on a computer, you do everything there. People think it's a massive, challenging job. It's easy. Just sit on the computer, press the buttons, send information, get some software and all those things. It's interesting, but you need to find time for it.
Yeah.
And I create time for it. Yeah, I've got a full-time job, but when it comes to working for the Lord, I find time.
I think that's a good lesson as well, Moyondiso, that one of the greatest challenges we have, especially in the church, and I'm not talking about the English parishes, I'm talking about even within our own fellowship, is where people, some volunteer for positions, some are elected into positions, but they're not available. And I find this very surprising, that because if you're not available, you're not even teachable. And if you're not available, nothing happens. How do you find time for the Lord whilst other people find it difficult to find time? Tell our viewers about that. Yeah.
No, yeah, you're quite right. Again, my father was a full-time priest, but he had a congregation that he had to minister to. Over and above that, he had projects that he was running as well. Perfectly well. Where he got the time, I don't know. He was a family man and was there for dinner with us every evening after doing all those roles during the day. When you grow up in such an environment, you're seeing all those things happening, and you are saying to yourself, I can do this. We as human beings, we've got a lot of time on our hands that we're doing nothing. But we fail to dedicate some of that time that we spend on our phones, doing nothing or just sleeping because we think we're tired, we're coming from work, and all that time is just being wasted. Plan around that time. That small hour that we have, make it count. And it will count. And the people that benefit and they see those things, they'll ask themselves, where does he get the time from? Well, but time is there.
Yeah. What is this, just the one thing now, the one thing that you feel you just want to share with your viewers, one last thing that you feel, this is an opportunity for me to share in this land of breaking barriers. Just share with them one important aspect of life with your listeners, something that they can carry home or they can actually take into their heart. What is it from your story, the whole story? What is this one thing you want to share with them?
I want to say to the people out there, Christians or non-Christian, look, you've got a life to live. You've got people that look up to you. There's a lot of things that you can do to help other people and act, just an act of mercy. Anything that you can do to find time, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 hour. We have these times that we are idle, that we can make use of. And I'll share with one thing that I've been doing. That many people don't know about this. There is an organization called Eternal War of Answered Prayer. Now, I am a regional champion for that organization, for Birmingham. This organization is going to build a wall with 1 million prayers. And these prayers are success story prayers, testimonies where people have seen God answering their prayers. Could be anything. It's illness. job, anything that has been challenging in your life, we want you to share that with us. We want you to make hope visible to the people. We want you to make people understand that God can answer prayers. And the only way you can do that is by sharing your testimonies and your answered prayer. I've been in that organization for 14 years. The man who had this vision, he had this vision in 2004. But when he started sharing this vision to the people, they said to him, "You're mad, that's not going to happen. Where do you get the money from? That's insurmountable." And you won't believe this, on the 5th of November this year, we are going to have a groundbreaking ceremony. The planning permission has been signed, the contractors have signed, and this wall is going to be built between M6, M42, HS2, and Birmingham Airport. It's right at the center of those modes of transport. Okay. And it will be the size of a football pitch going up into the sky. And each brick will have an answered prayer. We are going to formulate an app which you can access any of those prayers by going on the app, and you just press any number, 896, a prayer comes up of somebody in Brazil who had their prayer answered. Somebody in Thailand, prayer number 54. You can see this person was suffering from some illness, and they were healed just through prayer. And when you read that prayer and you've got the same problem, you're asking yourself a question: how did they get healed when I'm suffering from the same problem? What do I need to do? Pray.
Yes.
So that prayer has made hope visible. So anybody who thinks God does not answer their prayers, that wall will be testimony, that monumental infrastructure, and it will be well lit. You can actually see it from a distance of about 60 to 70 miles away. So it's like the angel from the north. But this one, if you go on the Google search, it has been assaged more than the angel of the north. People are waiting. They can't wait to see that monumental infrastructure. So on 5th of November, I'll be there, groundbreaking ceremony, and it'll be interesting. I'm looking for next year, the building starts.
I can't wait to see that faith progress, where people of faith are trying to do something that will help other people to understand that God is still working and that prayers can still be answered. Thank you so much, Mwandizo Baba Muyambi, a technical guru. Thank you for sharing your powerful story. Your journey is a reminder that with faith, resilience, and vision, no barrier is too strong to break. That scripture reminds us, for I know the plans I have for you, to give you hope and a future. That anchors everything. Thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this episode of Breaking Diaspora Barriers. If you have been inspired, do not forget to subscribe, share this episode, and connect with us on social platforms. Until we meet again next time, I say to you, keep breaking those barriers in diaspora, because it is important that other people will learn from you. You break your own, also break for other people, like what Baba Muyambi has been doing, opening all those doors, because we are here, because God has brought us here. So once again, thank you so much for listening. Until we meet again, may God bless you. And thank you so much, Baba Muyambi, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.